Right, so following on with what's going on with the XF and the latch. So I couldn't get it fixed, tried everything to release it, and I had to take it to the garage in the end. So a Jaguar dealership, the local Jaguar dealership in Basingstoke to be exact. They're called Harwoods. Car actually came from them over 10 years ago. And what we can see on the table is the mechanism. What they had to do is they had to cut out this part of the mechanism, because this is the latching part down here. What I was trying to do inside the car, my hope was that I would be able to use this. This is if I turn the device over, this little nipple here is the emergency release. For US cars anyway, this would be attached in the boot, and you would pull this, and then that would release the catch. Same with this one. If you press this, it does exactly the same thing. So I'm taking it here. This is what the mechanism does inside the vehicle. That would unlock effectively the car. And then I'm not sure what this one does. I guess that's part of it. I'll have a look at it, but certainly that pulls the mechanism. That's possibly one of these two. One of these will probably be the motor that is driven to open and close it, and then the other one would be for the key itself. So I would imagine the key may well be this, which if you turn the key in the latch, that would automatically release it. Possibly this is the one that is driven by the motor. I'll look in the car. However, I might take this to pieces just to see what's physically gone wrong inside, but as you can see, it's quite a catastrophic way for them to get inside the lock itself. They broke, obviously, the plastic bit. They believe the culprit was actually this wiring harness. I'll show you what I mean by that if I can do this and hold it at the same time. So here you can see there's some frayed cables inside here. They think, but they're not sure, that the cables caused some form of deadlock in this lock, and as a result of the deadlock, none of the release mechanisms would work, so that was the only way to get into it. The part numbers, if you're interested, are if you're looking at the lock latch mechanism itself, is C2Z27908. The harness is C2Z19978, and then the plastic cover is C2Z1712. So here are the various different parts. So you can see that was the latch, that was probably the plastic cover, and that was the wiring harness. Prices respectively, for the latch, it's £92.45. For the cover, £53.20 for a piece of plastic. And then the lead harness, respectable, £41.41. They did give me a 10% discount. However, this is where I really struggle with dealing with the dealers. To get to the point where they could actually open the locking mechanism, I agreed to a 1-hour consultation fee of £162, including VAT. They actually charged me £155.55 before VAT. So that's not really the £162 that we agreed on. So that's the first thing. And then to actually replace these items in the vehicle, bearing in mind that I'd already done a lot of the work for them to get into the boot by taking off the rear seats, and had removed all the little plastic covers on the actual boot itself. To put the wiring loom in and to fit that lock, they've charged £311.09. Their hourly rate is £160 an hour. So effectively, that's over 2 hours worth of work that they're suggesting to put a harness and that lock into situ. And I think they're a little bit naughty, because when I actually spoke to them on the phone, they agreed that actually probably wouldn't take 2 hours, or originally 2.5 hours, it will probably take an hour. And I agreed to them to take the work on for that. But when I turned up, they hadn't, they charged me the £311 for the work itself. You've got to add VAT on top of that as well. So, you know, it's not an insignificant sum of money when you look at it for the amount of work. What I'm now going to do is put all of the seats back in, and before I do that, I'm actually going to take the cover off the back of the boot itself to expose all of this parts. And let's have a look at the wiring loom, considering it's only 2 clips here, where it actually leads to and from, and see if you reckon that the whole work would actually take 2 hours or may actually only take about 20 minutes. I did tell the garage that I would do it myself if they were going to charge 2 hours on it. So I'm a bit disappointed that Harwood's in this case have gone for the most expensive option, and even though I asked them on several times, to really rub salt into the wound, they promised to wash the car. Now, I had previously cleaned the car before it went in, but they offered to clean the car while it was in the garage. It wasn't cleaned. There was no detailing on the wheels, which they would normally do, and the bits that I'd missed when I had cleaned the car are still there in the car. And again, I'll show you that as well. So they're asking me to give a quality of service, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to tell them that I'm disappointed. It's just not right that they should charge so much for such a simple thing. Probably on the books it would take this length of time, but if you're a qualified technician or even an amateur engineer like me and these kind of things, you know, you don't take 2 hours just to replace these little parts, especially as access to it was already established and very easy to do. Okay, rant over. Let's have a look at the car and let's see how things look in that. Right, so we're now in the back of the car. Now, bear in mind, this was all taken off. I'd removed all these little nipples here, holding it in place. They've obviously broken this part of the car to get round it, and they obviously had to break into this lock. So the car would have been unlocked, and we're talking about this cable here, which is this wiring loom, and it will feed into the back of that. It tucks up under here, so you can actually see where it goes in just about under there. And if I was trying to do this fix very quickly, for me, I would just take that little holder off, exposing that area, fold it down and get into it. So let's start with that first of all, but let's start the timer and see how long it's going to take all of these off. I'm not going to take this off this time. This was actually also loosened, so they wouldn't have had to do that even if they wanted to take the rest of it off. But reminder, this was. So let's start the timer now, and we're off. So you're not going to be able to see this probably very easily, but I will try and shoot it. So first of all, go up under here, get the little tool. Usually these things just come off once you release them a bit. So wiggling it out. There we go, so that's out. If I pull this one down, there you go. That exposes the harness. So that's what I'm looking for to get access to actually feed into this to go back up here. So the next thing I need to do is take out all of these little grommets, and I'll do that now. So easiest way of taking these off, you can see I've already done this before, so they should come out fairly easily. There's one. Okay, so let's have a look. We are 3 minutes and 27 seconds into it. There is a wiring harness. So what we're talking about here is this part down here, connecting into this part here. This mechanism obviously being replaced. These were bolted, well, these were loosened by me, and obviously it would have been removed when the guys had replaced it. They would have connected up to this unit, which is opening and closing the bonnet latch. You can see here it locks into that. Probably 10-15 minutes to open that mechanism up, connect in your cables, connect in the necessary cable for unlocking and locking the boot. So I guess there is inside here, just about see the cabling that goes down from unlocking and locking the boot. But considering, you know, we're trying to get in under this area, we're talking about removing that cable, pulling it up through here, lassoing it up into this and connecting up into there. I really do not know where they see 2 hours for that amount of work. Really sorry. I mean, complete rip-off of the dealer. It may be that Jaguar Land Rover reckons that, you know, it would take an unqualified technician that length of time, but this is why people don't actually go to the dealers after they're outside of warranty. It's just unbelievable. Again, they haven't even strapped it up here. This is a strap which obviously would have held the original cabling, and they haven't strapped that up, so I'm going to strap that up. Again, loose strapping here, not holding it in place properly. I'll put some masking tape on that just to hold it in place. And even while talking, we're only 5 minutes in, so I'm shocked. I'm really shocked, actually. I thought it would be a lot harder to get to this part, but considering you just have to take literally one clip out, and you don't even need to take off all of this paneling, which I can't see them doing anyway. Yeah, it's just amazing. Really, really amazing. So next thing to do is now put back the seats, and I'd like to show you obviously that, because that I think would be interesting for anyone who needs to, you know, get to the rear of the car, and you know, understands that, you know, if you're locked out, how on earth do you get into the boot to get your personal belongings, and then, you know, get from this point. But yep, that's where I'm going to stop at the moment. Again, waffling on. We spent nearly 7 minutes just talking about things. I'll button this back up again. I'll tape up these bits so that they're a little bit better. Finish off the work that they didn't do, and leave it at that. Oh yeah, cleaning the car. Is that clean? I mean, that's how, when I washed it before it went into the garage, I missed a bit. They were meant to have washed the car as part of the service. Shocking. Anyway, would love your comments below. You know, I think the dealers really need to hear more about this, because otherwise we're just going to always suffer from the same thing. And, you know, a 10-year-old car does need work on it, and they're just driving us to, you know, not to use their services. Maybe that's their prerogative.